Welcome back to Veterans Forum, a program by veterans, about veterans, for veterans and their families. I'm your co-host, Bob West, with Ray Chattery and Jerry Devlin. Jerry is out on assignment tonight. Our goal is to provide important information on legislation, benefits, support, and activities for you and your family by interviewing leaders in our community. Ray, who do we have with us today?
Well, first I want to introduce Bob Richards, who is a Commandant of the Free State Marine Detachment right here in Bowie. And Bob is a distinguished Marine career with retired as a Sergeant Major, which is the highest rank you can get in the Marine Corps. And he's spent 2 terms in Vietnam, a tour in Morocco, and he retired in Mel Toro, California. And was really great. Of course, I know Bob very well because he's married to my sister, and they just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary here a couple days ago. So it was really great to have Bob with us tonight. And Bob and I go way back with the Marine Corps League. We've been in the Marine Corps League 50 years. And we also have with us tonight Jerry George. Jerry is a past Commandant of the Free State Detachment here. And Jerry is the Executive Director of the Performing Arts Center here in Bowie. And he is well educated. He has a PhD in Performing Arts. And he's has a very important job. He's a service officer for the Marine Corps League and for the Disabled American Veterans here in Bowie. So we have 2 very distinguished members with us tonight, Bob, and we should get some good information.
Well, it's always great to have the Marines here on stage.
Yes.
So, Bob, we'll start with you since you seem to be in charge as the Commandant of the local detachment.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where they meet and about membership, because we're all looking for members.
Everybody's looking, and we're really looking for some young members. Some of the Afghan or even Desert Storm veterans. We meet the 2nd Wednesday of every month at the DAV post on 197 in Bowie. Our meeting starts about 7:30, and we have several programs that we're currently keeping up with. One of them is the Marines Helping Marines, and that takes up some of our time, but we really enjoy and we really work hard to promote the Marine Corps.
And I know a lot of effort and work is done by volunteers going to what's now Walter Reed. It used to be Bethesda.
Right.
In looking after not only Marines but the other
all
wounded
services,
veterans.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We have the East Coast Commandant or Vice Chief of Staff, Tony Begenwall, is a member of our detachment, and our detachment's go and help support and promote him, and they go, at least him and Bob Flick, another one of our members, go at least usually once a week over to Bethesda, Walter Reed, and they have we have always have a cookout. They've been having once a month for the whole hospital. Actually, it's Walter Reed Bethesda now, and so I'd just like to say one good thing about Tony Begenwall, who is what's his title?
East Coast Director.
Director of Marines Helping Marines. We put him in for the Marine of the Year, National Marine of the Year. He's done so much hard work on that program, keeping up with it. And one of the things we provide, and a lot of people don't realize this, when a wounded veteran, no matter what service, is wounded in combat, he's evacuated usually by the procedure they go. I think it goes to Germany. Eventually they end up here in Maryland, but they have no shaving gear. They have no baggage to put their personal effects in when they're released from the hospital. So some of the things, or one of the things we do, we provide that baggage. If they need a cane, we'll provide them with a cane. Just type things that you don't get normally. And when they are evacuated, their personal effects don't always come with them.
Well, we know how important and the priority is certainly helping wounded veterans. But also, you do a lot of community service programs too, especially recognizing, for example, the Boy Scouts.
Oh, that's been an outstanding program, and it's really uplifting to me to go to each one of those that I've attended. Ray is our chairman, and we usually have a good turnout, and it's just so pleasing, or I guess feelings-wise, to attend one of these ceremonies because it's so family-oriented. And not only that, these scouts Eagle Scouts have to do different things. Most of them do an enormous amount of community service as part to get one of those badges. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't realize that until I started attending these ceremonies. And it's really a successful program, and it's really it gives the Eagle Scout something he'll have the rest of his life when we give him an award.
Well, that is really important, and it's not only the boys that become Eagle Scouts. There's also awards for girls, Girl Scouts. For the it's a gold award of some sort.
Right.
Yeah.
But the important thing is we just need to be aware that these things are happening.
Right.
If I could right.
Go ahead. I was completely, when I attended that first ceremony, and it's all family oriented, that's the main thing. And the people that turn out is all the scouts in that troop, and usually they have a chaplain that's there, and it's all family, and it really makes you feel good to see what some youth are doing today.
The Eagle Scout, and I'm going to put a plug in for this because we've been trying to get a hold of there's 6 troops here in Bowie, and so far only three or four of us have contacted us to let us know when there is going to be an Eagle Scout Court of Honor, so that we have a real nice certificate that we give. The VFW has a nice certificate, and of course they also have a monetary check that they give, that they have authorized, and the American Legion, when they get involved, they give a medal. There is a medal that they give, and the last couple that I gave, there is a gentleman that joined the Marine Corps back in 1936, and he was in the Marine Corps before he got his Eagle Scout award, and he was awarded the Medal of Honor during World War II. Well, it finally caught up with him some 60-some odd years later, and one thing that he had said, and I'm paraphrasing this, he pointed his Eagle badge, he says, "I am most proud of this award." And here it is with the highest military decoration, and he's more proud of the Eagle Scout Award. So that really shows how really important this is, and not all scouts can attend that because it's really involved in a very dedicated process. And most of the scouts that I saw that had it, they were in scouting a good 8 years before they even got to that stage. And Senator Peters is there. He gives them a nice walking cane. Delegate Geraldine Valentino Smith, the mayor comes, a lot of the Bowie City Council. So it is a really good program, and I'm just glad the Marine Corps League is now involved in that.
And we also need to hear about the Girl Scouts.
Right.
Because we haven't heard anything from the local Girl Scout troops, and I'm sure some of them are attaining the same level as the boys do with the Eagle Scout. And we'd be more than happy to participate in those functions too. We just need to be contacted. So call the detachment and let somebody know, because they meet over at the DAV, and it's really on 197. If you don't have a phone number, just stop by and tell somebody. They'd be happy to hear about it.
Right.
What other programs would you like to talk to us about?
Well, of course, I'd like to get young Marines, former Marines, active duty Marines, retired Marines. Our primary goal is to promote the Marine Corps, and we do it in a way that active duty Marines or the regular Marine Corps cannot do. We have Young Marines program, for instance, that the Marine Corps League sponsors. They also sponsor a youth physical fitness program, and without the Marine Corps League, these programs would never have been organized and you know, be going forward with. But all this is around membership. You got to have people in your detachment to work with and to help you out. And I don't know. I think every branch, all the services are probably feel the same way as I do. We welcome any veteran that wants to come out and join us. We have a couple of yearly programs. We have the Marine Corps birthday every year, which that's a, you know, we really celebrate. Once a Marine, always a Marine. You hear that saying, and that's a brotherhood.
And a sisterhood.
Huh?
And a sisterhood.
Yeah, one thing that I must say that they did away with the title Woman Marines about 20 years ago. And they're all Marines now. In fact, they are now testing where they're doing away with the ladies' cover and they're going to start wearing the men's cover. You know, so
Breast blue cover, the
right.
white.
It's really amazing how they're really integrating the women to be part of, you know, there was no dissemination between male and female.
They're also running test programs right now with the women going through infantry training.
Right.
There's a real push to make that MOS, military occupational specialty, available to everybody, male and female. So the women are starting to see opportunities in the, or will start be seeing opportunities in the combat arms.
Now, just one more thing about membership. FMF corpsmen,
Right.
that in Navy corpsmen that served at least 90 days with the Fleet Marine Force unit and division that goes out on combat, they are eligible for a full-fledged membership in the Marine Corps League because they wear a Marine uniform, but they have the Navy insignia on it. And also, we have associate members. If you like Marines and you want to become a member, you can become an associate member of the Marine Corps League and get all the rights and benefits. You can get Marine Corps League tags. You can get insurance through Geico. I mean, they push us all the time. The only difference is that there's a different emblem that we wear on the cap. And to say it's, we have a lot of associate members, and so that people know that you want to become affiliated with the Marine Corps, and we welcome associate membership.
Yeah, and all the service organizations really need more women veterans to participate in the programs and come out. You're equal as far as benefits and privileges are concerned, but in order to push the legislature, we certainly need more women veterans to come out and join the men, and that would be extremely helpful. So Jerry, you're here as the service officer, and tell us about the program. How would somebody get started? What's the purpose of the service officer?
Well, the purpose of the chapter service officer is to provide support for the DAV national service officers. If you've ever tried to call the National Service Office in Baltimore, their phone is constantly busy. I think there's 5 full-time service officers up there, and they are just incredibly busy. So the chapter service officers, what we function as is we help people, we point people in the right direction, what paperwork to do. We function as a conduit or a communicator between the veteran and the national service officer. And then we also provide what moral support we can. It's very frustrating for people trying to deal with the VA system. As no doubt everybody's heard, or if you're in the system, you know this. It's extremely frustrating. It's a huge system. It's trying to pick up more veterans at this point than it was ever designed to support. And so they need help from the veterans service organizations such as the Marine Corps League, the DAV, the Legion, and they cultivate that. The national service officers are accredited to the Veterans Administration. When you have your paperwork straightened out, when you have filed a power of attorney with the DAV, the National Service Officer can actually go into your VA records and find out where things are, find out what's been processed, find out what hasn't been processed, find out why it hasn't been processed. And they have a very good relationship with their VA counterparts. It's not a competitive relationship. It's truly based in trying to get the veteran the help he or she needs. The VA is doing a couple of things differently than they were 5 years ago right now, thank heavens. Among other things, they are really pushing women veterans, and they're trying to address specific concerns of female veterans. Another thing that they've done that's really gotten it's up and running now is the concept of a fully developed claim. So it used to be you'd send in your claim form, the VA would send you a letter back saying they got it. Then they'd send you another letter saying, hey, we need more information, or hey, if you have more information, send it to us. Oh, here, let's schedule these examinations, let's do this, let's do that, and then 3 or 4 years later, they'd make a ruling on the claim, or 10 years later. What they're doing now is they are permitting a veteran to file a very short claim form and then go to their own doctor and fill out a disability questionnaire and have their doctor fill it out, the person they're comfortable with who knows the most about them. And once the doctor signs that, we submit that through our national service officers, and the VA rules on what you send them. You're not allowed to send them any more information. You have to send it all in at once. But they can rule on that, and we're hearing stories that it's a much faster process. There's actually some turnaround time.
So if I was a veteran in need of benefits, would it be better for me to first contact the Marine Corps League or the DAV service officer first before I start the process with the VA? Or do I start the process with the VA first and then contact the service officer?
Bob, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. We would prefer that you go through the DAV for the whole process if you're going to go through the DAV.
Start there first.
Start there first, because what happens is when you give me the paperwork, I take it or I fax it up to Baltimore. When they get it in Baltimore, what they do is they go over it and make sure I haven't missed anything and the veteran hasn't missed anything. So it's examined by someone who knows the system very well. And then it gets submitted on behalf of the veteran. So it's a win-win situation. Again, the issue is they get bogged down too, just like the VA does. But we try and keep them moving, and we encourage the veteran to keep after us. I tell all of the people who call me back in a week. Even if I haven't heard anything, call me back and at least hear me tell you I haven't heard anything. That will spur me to drop another email to the NSOs.
Do you have any help here at the DAV as the service officer? Is there somebody else helping you?
Not right now. There is, I believe the Legion has a service officer, and I believe the VFW did, but I'm not sure the status of that person. There are a couple of people who have indicated interest over the last well, I've been doing this for what, 3, 4 years now? There's been several people who have indicated an interest in doing it, but very little follow through. If you're interested in working with the DAV and working as a chapter service officer, you can get in touch with me and I'll be happy to provide some information. Or you can get in touch with Ray. He knows as much about it as I do. So
we do have the VFW does have a new service officer, someone who was interested in doing it, but he'll need training and so forth. And there'll be more about that coming out as we kind of move along. That's one of the most critical programs I think the DAV has, is the service officer program. And although many people wonder about the program, you don't have to be a member of the DAV, although it's encouraged to be a member, as
some
always.
people encourage harder than others.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And most of us make a point of telling the veteran, no, you don't have to be a member. We'd love it if you join, but here's what we can do. And we take them through the exact same process as a DAV member.
Here's one thing that I must put in. We recently, our chapter, we recently bought 2 scanners for our service officers up in Baltimore. And where it used to take, paper-wise, used to take 3 to 4 months, when they scan that in now and it gets to the VA, it's there immediately. And it sped the process up. If you remember, the one gentleman at our meeting said how fast it took. He had his claim completely done in the time where it used to just get submitted. Now they're almost completing. It's really terrific.
There's been some delays in the last couple of years. The VA is converting everything to electronic files now, and what they've been doing apparently is taking truckloads of files somewhere else to scan them. So you would get a call from a veteran who would say, what's the status of my file? Contact the NSO. The NSO would say, it's out for scanning. And I didn't know what that meant for the first 6 months, but it means that the file is in limbo at that point. But they've got I think they're just about done with that process. So,
well, if you go straight to Baltimore, it gets scanned by the Baltimore now.
Right now, anything that goes in now, but what they were doing was they were scanning all their active paper files. So,
do you have an active number of service members you're following right now?
I couldn't tell you what the number was, but yes, I'm getting at this point 3 or 4 calls a week at
Okay.
least, and the word's getting out that there are people in Bowie. I'm getting calls from all over the area at this point. I had a fellow from Virginia the other week. So, it's great to see people who are needing the help. It's very frustrating not to be able to give them everything they want, but it is what it is. So,
Now, do you have a territory or a
No.
geographical area?
no. I refer people if I had a call from North Carolina, and I refer them to the DAV down there
Sure.
because there's only so much I can do.
Right.
So.
Well, it was the same thing with Virginia. I was just kind of wondering, you know, there might be somebody over in
Any
Virginia.
veteran who sees this, there is a local DAV chapter somewhere. And if you get on the internet and you look at www.dav.org, you can type in your zip code and the local chapter will pop up. It's the same for the Marine Corps League. Any veteran, any Marine who wants to know more about the Marine Corps League, go to, I do a search on Marine Corps League. I can't remember what the URL is.
MarineCorpsLeague.org.
Yeah, but hit the national site, type in your zip code, and your local detachment will pop up. It's actually a pretty good system.
Well, as a Marine, I'm sure that there's some interest in Camp Lejeune, and isn't it Camp Lejeune with the water issue?
right.
Yeah, the Camp Lejeune water issue. The VA about a year and a half ago released a list of 12 sets of conditions that were presumptive. That means if you were at Camp Lejeune between 1958 and 1989, I think, and you have one of these conditions, 1987, between January 1st, 1957, December 31st, 1987, and you have one of these conditions, then they are presumed that it's because of the water, and they will generally rule favorably on your case in a rapid manner. And I need to say, the conditions that they ruled are pretty nasty ones, so they need to rule quickly for people in these cases. There are still things active with that program, and there's been a spate of discoveries of disposal issues at a lot of military bases. Just about all the larger military installations in the country are starting to discover issues like Camp Lejeune has. The thing that's specific to Camp Lejeune was there were dry cleaning chemicals from off base being leached through the water table into the Camp Lejeune wells, and some of the dry cleaning chemicals are exceptionally nasty. So to get more information on that, do a simple search on Google for Camp Lejeune water and look at the VA site. There's also a group for veterans called, now that's gone too, but dealing with feeling forgotten until Congress started to deal with this recently. So they're making progress on it. There are some odd legal battles happening where they're saying,
Yeah, one of them was where the law in North Carolina stated that you had to file a claim or within a reasonable so many years after it happened. And I think in this case the time frame was 10 years. And so the Supreme Court ruled that was legal for that state. Well, now, the last thing I heard and read, and I got a letter, is the state of North Carolina is trying to change the law where the presumption of the claim or the date of the claim could be adjusted to whatever date they were at Camp Lejeune and those people suffered from.
right, and the issue, this was a specific issue dealing with property. The issues weren't discovered until after the 10-year time frame had closed.
It was all over.
And so that one doesn't directly affect the vets, but people are speculating the legal implications from that.
Right.
You're absolutely right. The legal implications from that ruling are problematic, or potentially problematic. North Carolina is trying to address it.
And they're trying to change their law so that people can have a recourse.
So even if they don't have these symptoms, and what we've been trying to tell most veterans would be, if you haven't even signed up and registered with the VA, you need to do that at least, just to let them know
Right.
that you're a veteran and
Absolutely.
get the paperwork in there.
You never know when it's going to come up.
That's right, and as for family members, you want to encourage your veteran to do this if he or she seems to be a little reluctant to get the paperwork done. But it's extremely important, especially with the DD-214, to make sure it doesn't get lost. And,
Right.
and just start the process so they have an ID number. That's and that would be a good start.
Bob, the other thing that I encourage all veterans to do, and it's something you can do yourself, you don't need a service officer's help, is to request your military records. If you don't have your medical records and a copy of your service record, you should. It doesn't cost anything to get them. It costs you 10 minutes on a computer filling out an electronic form. If you do a search on veterans records, you will get a link to this form. And then you have to print out a signature sheet and either fax it or mail it into the office, and they will send you everything they have. It's worth your time to do, and it makes your own searches for things that you need to know about your service, things you need to know about your medical history, a lot easier if you have those records in hand.
For us non-Marines who served in Vietnam, of course, the other issue is Agent Orange.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. You know, the issue with the Camp Lejeune water goes back to the 1940s, 1950s is when they're, but it's going to go back. They're going to extend it back further. It's a real similar issue to Agent Orange in that the VA has gone through and there's a list of presumptive symptoms for that. If you were boots on the ground in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, if you were in Korea during, I think, 58 and 59, I need to check the dates. If you were in any of the bases around Vietnam that dealt with Agent Orange, you may be eligible for coverage for a lot of things. Diabetes type 2 is a presumptive symptom for Agent Orange. If you have diabetes type 2 and you were boots on the ground in Vietnam for 30 days, you need to claim it. The VA will compensate you for that. I think there's 13 other sets of conditions, other conditions that they are presumptive of exposure to Agent Orange. If you were boots on the ground and you have these symptoms, you should have a claim in the system.
I'm a cancer survivor. I had prostate cancer in 2005. They relate that to Agent Orange in Vietnam, and it is a presumption. In my case, I'm cancer-free now, and but you never know when something like that can come up or pop up. So it's best to be reported. Like when I retired, I filled out the form and said yes, I was exposed to Agent Orange. So when my claim come up, they went right back to that. I said, yeah, well, he said he was in Vietnam. In those days, there was no presumption. You just had to tell them that you were exposed, and there's a, you know, and I also I could say that maybe wasn't the Agent Orange. I was in the Camp Lejeune water. I'm in that. I worked in a building where I drank that water every day, and where I worked at Camp Lejeune. Ray come down and visit me. I was down there, and during that time frame when that we didn't know that. Nobody knew it.
Yeah, I was there in 61, and I was that's why I was married then. But I was there in 1950, all year in 1956. So I was there twice during this period of time with the Camp Lejeune water.
More recent vets of the Middle East, Gulf War, Desert Storm, Desert Shield. There are presumptive conditions. There are presumptive conditions related to that service as well. Again, a simple Google search will get you started with the information you need. Contact a service officer if you need more information.
Yeah, and don't assume that you're not eligible because you need to get it checked out and find out. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It's kind of hard to believe our 30 minutes are up. I want to thank Bob Richards and Jerry George. They're at the DAV. You can see them in their uniform, you know, whatever. And we thank you for watching. These are important information for you and your family to get those benefits that you have earned, but you need to stop by the DAV or the American Legion, see what's available for you and your family, and we need you to become active members as soon as possible. You'll see the information on the screen, and I want to thank our set director tonight, Dominic George, for helping us out, and of course Tom Allen as our director. And thank you all for watching Veterans Forum.